Today we're going to talk about something that we do almost every time we're in church together. We're going to talk about something that might look strange to someone who isn't too familiar with church, but something that if we understand it, it can help us know God in a whole new way. Today, we're going to be talking about worship. A lot of us would describe worship as the beginning time of the service where the band or the choir comes out and we spend time singing to or talking about God. And that might not seem weird to people who have been in church for a while, but to a lot of people, the idea of singing to a God might seem a little strange. We may have been to concerts or even sung at the top of our lungs in the car or shower, but those songs are usually about someone getting their heart broken or about getting money or going out with our friends, right? So when it comes to singing songs to God or the other things we see people do during this designated worship time, it can sometimes feel strange. You may find yourself asking questions like, why do people raise their hands? If I decide to raise my hands, when can I put them back down? Some people cry when they sing at church. What if I never cry? What if I don't like or know the song? Am I still supposed to sing it? Am I supposed to stand up or sit down? What if I don't know God? Can I still sing songs about Him? Is worship just singing? What if I can't sing? What about the strange lyrics that sometimes show up, like, worth is the lamb that was slain, or wash me in your blood? It can get hard. Is that what worship is all about? Or is there more to it? Like everything that we have talked about in this series, worship is a way for us to connect to God better and love God better. It's at the core. Worship is simply responding rightly to God and making sure God is the main thing, our top priority, the ultimate being. Think about it. We respond to things every day. Movies, what we eat, friends, good mood, bad mood. We talk about the weather when it feels good outside, and we text all our friends the TikTok that they just have to watch. We respond to things all the time. Not only that, we respond to things all the time without thinking. You just do it out of reaction. Have any of you ever put your hand on a hot stove without thinking? Most of us would typically respond with profanity and pulling our hand away. The point is that there are some things in life that we respond to with natural reaction because of what it did to us. Also, we respond to things based on our experiences. Here's what I mean. While you now jump for joy when you see your favorite sport teams doing well, you probably didn't always do that. What probably happened was a family member did that when you were growing up, and now that's how you do it. The point is, there are some things in life that we respond to because we've observed the way others react to it. Whether we respond without thinking or a response comes from something we've seen, I think we can all relate to this idea of worship in some way or another. And today, we want to talk about it in a way that makes it more than just something we do when our team does well. We want to talk about worship as it relates to God and who He is, a way that might help us make it feel less weird or strange when we do it or observe others doing it. At about the middle part of the Bible, there's a book called Psalms. You could describe Psalms as a kind of super important playlist of music. And just like the best playlists, there's a psalm for every kind of mood. There's songs for laughter, sadness, joy, heartbreak, wisdom, and more. In this book, we get to see God's people worshiping Him, kind of like we do here at church. In Psalms chapter 95, we read this. The writer of the psalm is saying they're singing because the Lord was their salvation. They were singing with thanksgiving because God actually saved them from something, because God did something for them. They're responding on the outside by singing because an emotion, which is joy, they felt on the inside because of something God had done, which was save His people. In other words, God was the source of this great thing that happened, and they wanted Him to know that they recognized Him and the work that He did for them. In the same way, this song reminds us that nothing in the world is more deserving of our praise and worship than God. The reason we collectively sing songs about God at church is to focus our emotions on Him. As a group, we declare that we're not a bunch of random people who just meet for the sake of meeting. We're people who worship God for who He is and what He has done for us. But worship is not just about emotion. It's also about humility. Whether you're worshiping privately or in a group, worship is a way of declaring, God, you're greater than we are. You're bigger than we could ever imagine. Worship focuses our attention in one direction, and that direction is God. However, music isn't the only way we can worship God. In fact, a guy by the name of Paul writes about worship in a completely different way. Check this out. In other words, yes, worship is singing songs and participating that way, but worship is also bigger than that. It's a way to live in the light of who God is. It's not simply about music, it's not even about emotion. Worship is about living for God. It's about responding to who He is and what He has done in all areas of our life. It's about getting God out of the church box we have put Him in, seeing Him as a part of everything we do every day. And when we worship Him this way, we see how powerful He can be, because worshiping God helps all of us know Him better. So this week, let's work on changing the way we think about worship from just being a 15-minute time slot on Sundays. Let's try to see it instead as a time slot in our everyday lives. Everything you do every day can be an act of worship, because everything you do every day can be a response to God and who He is. Here are some ideas on how you can get started. First, get a Spotify playlist going of worship music and listen to it as you work, study, run, whatever you're doing. Pick an activity you love to do each day this week, and instead of completing it, do it as an act of worship, meaning find ways to do that activity in a way that honors God. Maybe you pick sports practice and you choose to be extra encouraging to your teammates as a way to honor God. Because you choose to use your chores as an act of worship, you choose to thank God for the dishes you wash as an act of worship, or just not complain to your stepmom as an act of worship. You're basically choosing one activity a day and turning it to God, turning the volume up and giving it all to God. 3, pay attention to the things that get your attention. See something beautiful, acknowledge God being the one behind it. Enjoying time with your friends, remember that God created relationships and wants you to enjoy them. Every week you experience something and you have a chance to thank God for it. No matter what you end up doing or where you end up doing it, whether it's at school, at home, or somewhere else in your community, make that your place of worship. It honors God when you do everything you do as if you're working for the Lord, because you are. And when you do everything in response to God as if you're worshiping Him, when you worship Him, you begin to live how He lives. When you begin to live how He lives, you know Him better. Worshiping God helps us know Him better.